Today we're taking a deep dive into the fascinating history of Labor Day. So grab a hot dog and a cold drink because we're about to embark on a journey through time, exploring the struggles, triumphs, and legacy of the American labor movement. I'm your host, Evan, and this is the first episode of my new series, Deep Dive. Let's start at the beginning. Imagine a time where there's no weekends, no minimum wage, and certainly no such thing as overtime pay. Hard to believe, right? But this was the reality for many American workers in the late 19th century. The Industrial Revolution was in full swing, and while it brought incredible technological advancements, it also brought harsh working conditions for millions of people. Picture this, it's 1880, and you're working in a factory. You're on your feet for 12 hours a day, 6 or 7 days a week. The air is thick with coal dust, the machines are definitely loud, and there are no safety measures in place. Oh, and did I mention, you're also 10 years old. This was the grim reality for many children during this era, but people weren't going to accept these conditions forever. Workers began to organize, forming labor unions to fight for better treatment. One of the earliest and most influential unions was the Knights of Labor, founded in 1869. They had a vision of uniting all workers regardless of skill level, race, or gender, a pretty revolutionary idea for its time. Now let's fast forward to 1882. On September 5th of that year, something extraordinary happened in New York City. Around 10,000 workers took unpaid time off to march from City Hall to Union Square. This wasn't just a parade, it was a protest to demand for better working conditions and a celebration of the contributions of American workers. This event is widely considered to be the first Labor Day parade in the United States. The idea caught on like wildfire. Other cities started holding their own Labor Day celebrations, and workers began pushing for it to become an official holiday. Oregon was one of the first states to make a Labor Day a public holiday in 1887. But here's where things get really interesting. In 1894, something happened that would change the course of Labor Day history forever: the Pullman Strike. The Pullman Company, which manufactured luxury railroad cars, had cut wages but not rent in its company-owned town. This led to a massive strike that spread across the country, crippling railroad traffic. President Grover Cleveland sent federal troops to break the strike, leading to violence and the deaths of more than a dozen workers. As you can imagine, the public was absolutely outraged. President Cleveland, realizing he needed to make amends with organized labor, pushed Congress to make Labor Day a federal holiday. And so, on June 28, 1894, Labor Day became an official national holiday. Now you might be wondering, why do they pick the end of summer and not May 1st, which is celebrated as International Workers' Day in many countries? Well, that's a great question. May 1st, also known as May Day, commemorates the Haymarket Affair of 1886 in Chicago, where a peaceful rally for an 8-hour workday turned violent. President Cleveland and others worried that a Labor Day on May 1st would encourage the commemoration of the Haymarket Affair and potentially strengthen socialist and anarchist movements here in the United States. Hey, if you're enjoying this video, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and hit the notification bell. Alright, let's get back to the history of Labor Day. In the early 20th century, we saw some major victories for workers' rights. In 1911, after a tragic Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire in New York City that killed 146 workers, new safety regulations were put in place. In 1916, the Adamson Act established an 8-hour workday for railroad workers, which later became the standard across industries here in the United States. During the Great Depression of the 1930s, workers' rights took center stage yet again. President Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal brought significant changes. The National Labor Relations Act of 1935, also known as the Wagner Act, guaranteed private sector employees the right to form labor unions and engage in collective bargaining. The Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938 established a national minimum wage and banned child labor. But progress wasn't always smooth. In the post-World War II era, there was a backlash against unions. The Taft-Hartley Act of 1947 restricted the power and activities of labor unions. Despite this, unions continued to play a crucial role in shaping American labor laws and working conditions. Now let's talk about some of the specific achievements of the labor movement that we often take for granted. The 40-hour work week. Before labor unions, 60-hour work weeks were common. The fight for a 40-hour week was a long one, culminating in the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938. The weekend. You can thank the labor movement for your Saturdays and Sundays off. The push for a 5-day work week gained momentum in the early 20th century, with Henry Ford being one of the first major employers to adopt it in 1926. PTO. The first paid vacations/paid time off in the United States were offered by a few labor unions in the 1930s. Today, while the U.S. doesn't mandate paid vacations by law, most full-time employees receive this benefit thanks to collective bargaining agreements and competitive labor practices. The concept of paid sick leave is relatively recent. San Francisco became the first U.S. city to mandate paid sick leave in 2007, and today many states have similar laws. Workplace safety regulations. The Occupational Safety and Health Act of 1970 created OSHA to ensure safe and healthy working conditions. Employer-sponsored health coverage. During World War II, wage freezes led to companies offering health insurance as a way to attract workers. Labor unions played a crucial role in expanding and maintaining these benefits.
Now you might be thinking, okay Evan, this is all interesting history, but what does Labor Day mean today? Well, that's a great question. While Labor Day has become synonymous with barbecue, sales, and the unofficial end of summer, its core purpose remains the same: to celebrate the achievements of American workers and the labor movement. Today, the American workforce looks very different from what it did in 1894. We've seen the rise of the gig economy, remote work, and automation. New challenges have emerged, like ensuring fair treatment for contract workers, addressing wage stagnation, and adapting to technological changes in the workplace. Labor unions, while not as prominent as they once were, continue to play an important role. In 2021, we saw the resurgence of labor activism with high-profile strikes at companies like John Deere and Kellogg's, and unionization efforts at Amazon and Starbucks. The COVID-19 pandemic has also brought labor issues to the forefront, highlighting the importance of essential workers and sparking discussions about workplace safety, paid sick leave, and work-life balance.
As we celebrate Labor Day, it's important to remember the struggles and sacrifices of those who came before us. The rights and benefits we enjoy today, from the weekend to workplace safety standards, didn't just happen. They were fought for by ordinary people who believed in the dignity of work and the right to fair treatment. But the story of labor in America is far from over. As our economy and society continue to evolve, so too will the challenges and opportunities facing American workers. The gig economy, automation, and artificial intelligence. These are just some of the factors shaping the future of work. So the next time Labor Day rolls around, take a moment to reflect on its rich history. Remember that behind the barbecues and sales lies a story of struggle, progress, and the ongoing fight for workers' rights.
And here's a question I have for you. What do you think the future of work will look like? How can we ensure the rights and dignities of workers are protected in this ever-changing economy? Thank you for joining me on this journey through the history of Labor Day. I hope you gained a new appreciation for this holiday and the labor movement that made it possible.
I also want to thank the Baltimore Museum of Industry for allowing me to film this special episode inside their amazing museum. If you're ever in Baltimore, make sure you stop by and check this place out. I put all their information in the description box below. Don't forget to click that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. I'm Evan, and remember, knowledge is power, and understanding our history is the key to shaping our future.